Ellul begins by insisting on a distinction that his entire argument depends on. Technique is not the machine. The identification of technique with machinery is the first and most persistent error his book is written against. Technique is not an isolated fact in society but is related to every factor in the life of modern man. It must consequently be examined not from the technical but from the sociological point of view. p4. The machine is an instrument. Technique is something larger, a way of organizing human action in relation to all problems. Ellul's formal definition: in our technological society, technique is the totality of methods rationally arrived at and having absolute efficiency, for a given stage of development, in every field of human activity. Pxxv, every field. Not some fields. Not the industrial fields. Every field. This is the move that distinguishes Ellul's analysis from an analysis of industrialization. He is not describing what machines do to economies. He is describing what the technical mentality, the orientation toward the one best way, does to civilization as a whole. The historical contrast is essential. Until the 18th century, technique was applied only in certain narrow, limited areas. The life of the group was essentially non-technical. Pages 64 to 65. In so-called primitive societies, the whole of life was indeed enclosed in a network of magical techniques. But the important characteristic of these societies was not a technical but a religious preoccupation. Pages 64 to 65. Pre-modern technique was local, slow, aesthetically constrained, socially embedded, and subordinate to human values that lay outside the technical domain. What changed in the 18th century was not merely the number of inventions. It was the orientation of civilization toward the technical. Why the 18th century? Ellul identifies 5 factors whose simultaneous presence explains why the technical convergence occurred when and where it did. None of the 5 alone was sufficient. Their coincidence was what produced the threshold event. Feel that this transformation of civilization can be explained by the conjunction in time of 5 phenomena: the fruition of a long technical experience, population expansion, the suitability of the economic environment, the plasticity of the social milieu, and the appearance of a clear technical intention. p47. The 4th factor, social plasticity, receives the most extensive treatment because it is the least intuitive and the most consequential for the sociological argument. The 4th condition is possibly the most decisive. It is the plasticity of the social milieu, which involves 2 factors: the disappearance of social taboos and the disappearance of natural social groups. p49. The taboos and the natural social groups are what stood between the individual and technique. Religion maintained taboos against the manipulation of the natural order. The guild, the family, the commune, the religious fraternity, these natural social groups gave the individual loyalty structures that competed with the demands of the technical system. While they existed intact, technique could not penetrate all areas of life. Once they were dissolved, and Ellul documents their dissolution through the French Revolution's specific legislative acts, the individual stood alone. Society was already atomized and would be atomized more and more. The individual remained the sole sociological unit, but, far from assuring him freedom, this fact provoked the worst kind of slavery. p51. The atomization produced the plasticity the technical system required. An uprooted individual removed from guild, family, and commune is available to the factory, the labor market, the state apparatus, and the mass media in ways that a person embedded in intermediate structures is not.